Guys, it is 11:59 on Worthy Wednesday. I made it. Y'all, I had quite a hectic day also, and anyway, when it was time to do Worthy Wednesday, I hadn't had anything to eat and I was starving and I couldn't be hangry doing Worthy Wednesday, so I thought I better eat. And then anyway, then I went to Bible study and I just got home. Anyway, then I talked to my baby and I talked to her for an hour. Anyway, y'all, so welcome to Worthy Wednesday, because it's still Worthy Wednesday. But I don't really have too many things to say, which is rare for me. Okay. I really wanted to talk about trust. I wanted to talk about miracles. I wanted to talk about a lot of things. And then I realized there's something that is critical to our growth and development as women, in every stage of our life, whether that's the beginning, the middle, or the end. And that thing is reflection. Reflection requires that you take a little bit of time to be still, sometimes a lot of time. And I don't know if you're like me, being still is very challenging. Oh my God, I'm laughing at myself. Being still is very challenging because when you are quiet, when you are still, you realize that excuses that you have made as to reasons why you have not pursued that dream, or you have not made a change in your life, or you have not gone to the doctor because you need to, or you have not set a goal because you've been tired. Reflection requires that you create space. Reflection demands space. It demands quiet. It demands you to decide that I have to make a change. And not only do you have to decide, you actually have to act, because once you have reflected, you recognize the only true way to get out of something is to go forward. And I don't really have too many more things to tell you about except that, because this is a time in my own life that what I once thought was important, or what I once believed was critical, I am now learning that the only way that I'm actually able to move towards those goals, to move toward my destiny, is to strategically, which means I get to choose it, have time of reflection. But sometimes life requires you to get still and create moments of reflection. It forces you to do it. Like, have y'all ever been in those situations where your body literally lays you down because you won't rest, or your body tells you that you're not eating properly, or you're not sleeping enough, or your mind gets so confused and so hammered and so hurt that your entire life, it feels like it's shifting because you haven't taken the time to clear your mind and reset and refocus and find out what's really important. What is my priority? What is my assignment? I don't know if you guys are even willing to admit this, because it takes time for you to really put your big girl pants on and recognize that what I'm doing is not working. Like, have you ever just continued in a pattern or a routine or in a mindset or a belief system because you understand that if you change it, you have to change? Have you guys ever done that? Like, maybe I'm the only one that's out here on a limb all by myself, recognizing that certain things I have done, when I have been forced into a place of reflection, I have been forced into a place of quiet, I have recognized that the reason why I'm actually in this place is because I did not pay attention to the warnings, and I did not heed the warnings, some gentle, some a little bit more direct, some screaming literally in my face that I needed to make a change in certain areas. And when I failed to do that, I had the audacity to get upset. And I don't know if you're like me. I got upset with the Lord. I thought the Lord was whack-a-dack. I was like, God, why are you like this? Like, why did you let all these things happen in my life? Why do you not care about me? Do you not love me? Like, I don't know if you guys do that, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm guilty of that. That I am literally looking for someone to pass the buck to. And honestly, you guys, the buck stops with me. The buck stops with you. We don't have an excuse when it's time to stop and reflect and really reevaluate what are my priorities Is this my problem? I want to share something with you that my great, fantastic superior, Uncle Bandy, shared to me. And I'm not going to give you the entire story because it's kind of long, actually, but I want to give you the gist of it. And I want to give you the gist of it because this is going to help you understand why reflection is absolutely required as an adult. And honestly, if you can start doing this reflection long before this, I think it's going to make a huge difference in your life. But my Uncle Bandy told me a story, because he's a phenomenal storyteller. To know him is to love him. But he told me a story about a couple. I'm not really sure if he made this up or not, but it's great. I told him if I use it, I will give him credit. So that's why I'm telling you who told me this story. He said that there was a couple and they wanted to get married. But prior to them getting married, the soon-to-be wife said, I'm not really interested in having children. The husband wanted to have children, but they decided to get married anyway. So several years went by, and the husband decided that he wanted to have children, but he was married to the wife that told him he did not want to have children. The husband really struggled with this, and there were several conversations, several options and opportunities, things that they chose to talk about and explore to see what they could do to bring children into their home. But it was almost as if the husband had forgotten, whether intentionally or not, that the wife had said to him long before they made this commitment that she did not want to have children. Anyway, as my Uncle Bandy went on and told the story only as he could, with such delicate but poignant detail that just caused me to laugh sometimes and even think about, wow, this is really important. I couldn't really understand, just based on what we had discussed previous in that conversation, what he was really trying to tell me. And anyway, he got to the end of the story where he began to enlighten me and bring certain aspects out of that story, how the husband and the wife struggled in communication and finances and all these things due to one aspect of the relationship that it appeared that the husband failed to pay attention to prior to them getting married. And there was a long pause because I thought, as I reflected on this story, I said, this shouldn't even be a problem. I mean, because she said to him long before they made this commitment, this is not something that I'm willing to do, and I won't be interested. There's nothing you can say or do that would cause me to be interested in this. And I was really, for myself, trying to understand, what are you really telling me right now? Anyway, so my Uncle Bandy continued the story, and he said, well, whose problem was it, Carrie? And I said, the husband's problem. I mean, duh, Captain Obvious. It was because the husband did not pay attention to what the wife had said, and because of that, he was now upset with the wife because she did not want to do something that she had already said, this is nothing I'm interested in. And he said, was it the wife's problem? I was like, absolutely not. It was never her problem. It was his problem because he did not take time to listen and really hear what she said, so that way they would not find themselves in this level of disagreement or conversation about an issue that was already solved prior to them getting married. And anyway, as we continue to discuss that story, the thing that stood out to me the most is, what would have happened if the husband would have taken a moment of reflection prior to asking that woman to be his wife? And not only what would have happened if he would have taken a moment, what would have happened if she would have taken a moment to go back into her thought process and say, I'm not willing to be married to someone who doesn't understand this essential part of a decision that I've already made. And what if he would have went back and said, does it make sense for me to ask someone to become my wife and create a family, but she's not interested in creating a family? You guys, reflection causes you to be accountable. If the husband or the wife would have taken a moment to reflect, they would have both understood that each of them were now making decisions that neither of them could live with. There was nothing that they could have said or done differently that would have caused the other party to change their mind or have a different perception or even want to work toward a common goal when both of them had already made decisions prior to them entering that union. And after I heard that story, I thought, how many things in my life have I made decisions about and then tried to change my mind after I said no? How many things in my life have I agreed to when I really didn't want to? How many things in my life could I have made a different decision on if I would have taken a moment to reflect? Is this really what I want to do? Is this really what the Lord has asked me to do? Am I doing this because I feel obligated to Brother Cucumber and Sister Dayquil? Is this really my responsibility? Is this my problem? You guys, when you take a moment to reflect, you literally become accountable. Accountable for your thoughts, accountable for your words, accountable for your actions. So I'm wondering, in the phase of seeing everyday miracles, are you reflecting? Are you taking a moment to step back and say, is this my problem? Is this my responsibility? Am I being accountable here? Anyway, so at the end of that story, my Uncle Bandy, as only he could, asked me, Carrie, sweetheart. That's what he calls me, sweetheart, when he's teaching me something. He said, do you understand what I was telling you in that story? I said, I absolutely do. I said, because what you're really asking me is, number one, whose responsibility is it? And when I answer that question, if the answer is me, then that means I can answer the second question is, what am I going to do about it? But if the answer to the first question is, this is not my responsibility, that is where it ends for me. He laughed and he said, you're so smart. He said, you've been smart your whole life, which is true. And I said, thank you, Uncle Bandy. But I just wonder, worthy women, tonight, well, it's morning now. It's early morning. I just wonder how many of us would actually take the time to ask ourselves those questions. When I am in a moment of reflection because I have literally been forced to be still. And just a FYI, we shouldn't have to be forced. Okay, we need to start practicing rest and Sabbath and margin. We need to start practicing that in our regular lives. But anyway, if I have been forced to be still, I really need to ask myself during that time of reflection, is this my responsibility? Is the reason why I'm exhausted, is that because of me and my choices? Is the reason why I feel drained because I'm in somebody else's lane and it's not my lane? Is the reason why there's contention or strife or anger or frustration in my home? Am I the reason that we're having those issues? Is the reason why I keep questioning if I'm qualified or worthy or called is because I don't believe that I am? Y'all, I really want us to understand that to see a miracle every single day and to live in everyday miracles sometimes requires reflection. And in that reflection is responsibility, because once I recognize my responsibility, I can then begin to see miracles again. So I hope this week into next week that you really start finding time to reflect, because it's only in that time, worthy women, do you find out who you really are. I love y'all. I'll see you next week.